The scent that was lost in the wind. Leah was never supposed to fall in love. She grew up in a family that saw love as a weakness, especially love that had no future. But from the moment she saw him, all the rules she had learned became meaningless. Arman was a perfumer, a man who always carried the scent of night-blooming jasmine and citrus. Leah first saw him at a family gathering, a celebration arranged for her engagement to a man she never loved. But the moment her eyes met Arman's, time seemed to freeze. She had never believed in forbidden love, not until she realized Arman was the one her heart truly wanted. But a bitter truth stood between them. Arman was her sister's fiancé. Every encounter between them felt like a fire burning within Leah's chest. Every time she caught the trace of his scent, she felt herself sinking deeper. They tried to stay away, but hearts don't always obey the rules. On the night of Leah's wedding, a familiar fragrance filled the air, one that Arman had created just for her, a scent never meant to be sold. That night, Leah had to choose: tradition, family, or a love that was never meant to be. She stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. Her wedding dress felt heavier than she imagined, not because of the fabric, but because of the weight it placed on her soul. Everything was set. Her family was joyful, the guests were waiting, and the groom was ready. But something was missing, the scent lingering in the air. She walked to the window, the night breeze gently moving the curtains aside, carrying a fragrance she knew all too well. The scent Arman had crafted only for her. Tears welled in her eyes. So, he was here. Without a second thought, she slipped off her heels, lifted the hem of her gown, and rushed through the back door of the mansion. Her heart pounded as she moved through the dimly lit garden. She knew exactly where to go. Near the old stone wall, Arman stood, his dark eyes filled with the same longing she felt. "Leah, you shouldn't be here." His voice was quiet, but broken. "Then why did you come?" Her voice trembled. Silence. Only the sound of their breaths filled the space between them. "I couldn't stop myself," Arman finally admitted, looking away. "I needed to see you one last time." Leah stepped closer, her heart making the decision her mind refused to accept. "If this is the last time, then let it be ours." Her gaze locked onto his. "A memory no one can take from us." Arman hesitated, but then, slowly, he reached for her hand. In the shadows of the night, surrounded by the intoxicating scent of jasmine, their lips met for the first time. A kiss that should never have happened. Yet in that moment, it was the most real thing in the world. Distant voices echoed from the mansion, growing louder. Leah knew she had little time, but in Arman's arms, in that fleeting moment, she realized that some loves are never forgotten, even if they are lost in the wind. Just as she caught her breath, angry shouts erupted from the house. Her absence had been noticed. Arman grabbed her hand tightly. "You have to go, now!" Leah only looked at him. "If I go back, I'll never see you again. And if you stay, everything might fall apart." His voice was firm, but his eyes pleaded with her. Footsteps approached, shadows moving closer. They had only seconds left. "Leah!" Her father's furious voice rang through the night. Arman let go of her hand. "Now's the time, before it's too late." Leah closed her eyes, her heart racing between fear and love. This love, this moment. What had fate written for them? But suddenly, she took his hands again. "We're leaving together." Arman looked stunned, but in her eyes, he saw something he never expected. A decision no one could change. Without another word, He tightened his grip, and together, they ran toward the secret exit at the back of the garden, where no one would think to look. Angry voices shouted behind them, but none of it mattered anymore. The cold night wind had spread the scent of Armand's special perfume into the air, a scent that now belonged only to Leah. And maybe love's, all forbidden things, right fate. If you liked this story, be sure to look forward to the next stories. Maybe the next story will be your story.